I think one of the most important things that I believe, Radhika, is that ideas are dime a dozen. It's execution that's very, very key, right? And I feel women are well equipped for that. Attention to detail, being able to multitask, very, very, very important. You can have the best idea in the world, but if you're not able to execute on that, it's a failure, right?
Yeah.
I would love to be in that place where ambition is not considered a dirty word. It's a good word, aggressive, bossy pants, bitch. I really do think that those are very easy words that come to us. Aggressive women are always bitches, and aggressive men are the right leaders. So, am I looking at retirement? Well, let's look at the age of most of the other entrepreneurs in India. They're doing just fine. Nobody's asked them that as yet. How do I deal with it? I ignore it. I have a slightly different philosophy there. If life throws lemons at you, what do?
Lemonade.
No!
You throw them back?
No, you do nothing with them.
Okay,
You're making milkshake. You continue focusing on what you're doing. Just keep dodging the lemons. Just because somebody's thrown lemons at you, इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि तुम उठा के उसका भी बनाने लग जाओ. मत बनाओ. Let it be.
Yeah.
Keep focused. Keep your head down on what you're doing.
Thanks, Radhika, for being on our show, and very excited to be chatting with you on your journey, especially because you have been a serial entrepreneur and a woman who has stood the test of time, yet flourished as someone who is very powerful and an inspiration to many women. But let me start by asking you that since you started out in 2011 when startup, this word was not even known, what has really changed from then to now, and what has been consistent for you?
So, thanks for having me on the show, Radhika. I always love saying that when I'm being interviewed by another Radhika.
Yeah.
But I have to say, this has changed. The fact that we're having this conversation.
Yeah.
In 2011, when we started ShopClues, there were like 2 of us, 3 of us women entrepreneurs. And even at that time, I believe that a lot of it was tokenism. When we'd go out to raise money, conversations were always directed to the male co-founders. You're there. Are you there just to bring in the marketing aspect of it, just to bring in the consumer aspect of it? That has changed today.
Yeah.
And I feel incredibly proud of that. I feel incredibly proud of the fact that today on my WhatsApp, I have 10 different groups. There's a female founder group, there is the women entrepreneur group, there's the D2C Insider Women group, and multiple other groups, ladies who lead, of women who are coming forward to claim what is there, right? Who are coming forward to say that I have the same risk appetite as a male entrepreneur does, and I'm here to take my place. And I think that's changed the most. Now, having said that, is that change enough? Not really. Earlier we were 2 out of 100. Now we're probably 5 out of 100. The ratio is still significantly off. Will that get better over the next 10 years or so? Yes, because it's a snowball effect. So that's what's changed the most.
But in terms of better also, how better will it be? Like 10 out of 100 or 50 out of 100?
Boon boon se sagar bhatta hai. So one step at a time. And, I hear the impatience in your voice, and I probably have the same impatience in my voice. Because I feel that for a very long time, over the last decade, I felt that we had let down the generations to follow. I had let down the generations to follow. I didn't want to be slaughtered as a woman entrepreneur. I really wanted to just be an entrepreneur. Whenever I'd get the question about, do you want to be in do you want to be on a panel, talking about women entrepreneurs? My thought was, I've built something big. I've built something that puts me with, unfortunately, the only term that was around to play the big boys. And I should be on that panel. I'm not here for tokenism.
Right.
But what is different is that now I realize why that's so important. There are so many women that I meet over the last 7, 8, 9 years who talk about the fact that they feel that their thought about what is possible for them changed because they saw me do it.
Yeah.
And that's really how you build the culture of anything, right? It's the heroes you hold high, the actions you take, the stories you tell. And that is why things like this is very important.
Correct.
And I think that's been a change in my own mindset as well.
Yeah.
So that is the most important thing.
Yeah, I've actually read an article where you said that there was a panel for both men and women, and you had been, placed in the panel only for women and not men. Where in case the fact was that you had a bigger businesses than most of the boys did on that panel.
That's right.
So what was that first thought that came into your mind when it happened, and did you really question the organizers?
I did. I actually did not go for the panel because I felt so offended.
Yeah.
So the main panel was in the morning, the 10 a.m. main panel that started.
Yeah.
And there were 5 people in that panel, and I thought I belonged there. We were the 5th unicorn in the country, and there was probably 1 unicorn founder on the panel. The others were not even there.
Yeah.
Great entrepreneurs, but I'd achieved something, and I thought that I deserved to be there.
Yeah.
But they wanted me in an afternoon panel, which was a break-off session for women. With an audience of probably 20 odd women.
Okay.
And talking about the challenges of women entrepreneurship.
Oh.
And I felt offended.
Yes.
And I said, I will not do it. But if you give me the same opportunity today, I will do it.
Yeah.
Because I think the impact that I would have on those 20 women would be significantly higher than the impact I had on the larger group.
Right.
But having said that, आप आज भी देख लो, right? When you look at Ruchi of business, when you look at Naya Priyanka from My Glam, there are so many of us who are out there who've achieved stuff that is new and novel and extremely tough, right?
Yeah.
We still don't get our share.
Share in terms of?
Our share of voice. Share of voice for sure.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's changing slowly, steadily. But you're right. You're going back to your question about where will it go, from 2 to 5, will it go to 10, will it go to 15? I think equity is that it gets to 50-50, but we're a while away from that.
That's right. But what do you think really it takes to achieve what you have already achieved and what women have achieved who have entered the Unicorn Club? Because a lot of youngsters, at least startup founders, have this question that what does it really take to start a business and grow it to a scale that most of the investors or other stakeholders love working into that ecosystem?
So I think one of the most important things that I believe, Radhika, is that ideas are dime a dozen. It's execution that's very, very key. Right. And I feel women are well equipped for that. Attention to detail, being able to multitask. Very, very, very important. You can have the best idea in the world, but if you're not able to execute on that, that is it's a failure right from the ground go. So I'll answer the question in different stages, right? First is to have an idea and then decide that what am I going to do with this idea? I have a very simple mantra that says just show up.
Yeah.
Go for it. क्योंकि मैं ये ऐप बनाऊंगी जिससे हमारा travel time will be cut down by 1/10. Great. Idea बहुत अच्छा है. पर अगर तुमने उस पर action नहीं लिया, if you don't go forward and execute on that idea, or at least attempt to execute on that idea, you will not reach anywhere.
Right.
So I think that's the first and the most important thing. If you have an idea, go for it.
Yeah, but when to go for it really? Because a lot of people spend a lot of time in planning and they really don't know when to start.
There is no simple theory around it. You have an idea, start working on it, find friends, find the team. That even if you don't find the team, find people who will just put together an MVP for you and go for it.
Yeah.
Fail fast. कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. It really, and I think that's one of the things that entrepreneurs have in droves, right? It is the risk-taking ability.
Yeah.
it is a risk appetite. It's okay. I'll do it. I'll fail. I'll try again.
Yeah.
If I fail again, I'll try again. and that is it. And in fact, if you look at people who are successful in any field, right? Even if you look at people who are successful in, let's say, we're sitting in Mumbai. Let's talk about Bollywood, right?
Yeah.
When you look at somebody like Shah Rukh Khan, right? Look at his ethos in life. It's actually no different from that of an entrepreneur. Try, passion about what you want to do, risk-taking abilities to do stuff that others are not willing to do, and succeed then. Success is never final.
Yeah.
You have to keep working to grow.
Yeah.
I think that's something that we all underestimate. हमें लगता है कि यार एक बहुत मूवी बहुत बड़ी बन गई है, I'm super successful. No, it makes your next step easier, but you have to keep at it.
Right.
And it's the same in entrepreneurship.
Why do some people just give up in the journey if they don't see the results?
I think that's really a personality difference.
Yeah.
I think that's about it. It's a personality difference.
And that's what
typically,
apart.
I think you were just asking me that I came in today for this, but this is important for me. So I took a 5 a.m. flight. I'm here. I'm doing this. I'll take a 5 p.m. flight back. Is it tedious? Yes. Do I love it? No, not at all. But will I do it again? Yes, I'll do it again.
Yeah.
So if it's important for you, it's not going to be easy. Show up, do it, and go for it. क्योंकि सुबह होगी तो रात भी होगी.
Yeah.
If you're successful, you'll fail also.
Yeah.
So don't expect success to be omnipresent.
Yeah.
And then neither is failure though. Right? So I'm 47 and I still have those nights when I'm building a company. I feel like, God, what am I doing? This is never going to work. How will it work? And those things happen at all times. They'll happen after I close a large round. Yeah. They'll happen when I'm not able to close a round. They'll happen when I've had the best month ever. They'll happen when I've had the worst month ever. Yeah. It's there. That's
founder anxiety.
Founder anxiety. I wish more people talk about that. Yeah. It is so important. So important.
Yeah, it's important to speak about it because people just see the glamorous world out there and they think it's all good and very shiny. But when you speak of the challenges is when they realize that, okay, I have to get into the dirty surfaces also.
Absolutely. I think it's the story of the bamboo, right?
Yeah.
Bamboo shoots up and then just shoots. Right. But what you forget is that the root has been working on growing for the last 10 years. Uske baad shoot.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of effort that goes into everything. The kind of detail, the kind of type A personality you need to be, the kind of effort you need to put in. And, people will come back and say that but you have teams that do it for you. Yes, there are teams that do it for you. But what team banti kaise hai, right? The work always starts with one person.
Right.
And then kafile milte gaye, karma badta gaya. So, but it happens.
Correct. You also spoke about the type A personality. Do you think that women lack some of the traits of that kind of personality and that's why we don't see more of women entrepreneurs?
I don't think women lack the trait of a type A personality. I think ambition is considered a bad word for women.
Okay, why?
I think in our society we believe adjust kar lo, settle ho jao.
Yeah.
Those are the key words that are used around us. Radhika, you are 23, settle ho jana chahiye. And I'm really uncomfortable with this boss I'm working with or whoever I'm working with. Kuch nahi hota hai, adjust kar lo. Look after yourself, Don't put yourself in that situation. When you say, no, I'm going to take this head on, then you're like, oh my God, she's such a bitch.
My God.
But it happens, no? People are like, okay, if she's going to say something negative, if she's going to call something out, then she's a bitch.
Yeah. Because they don't expect a woman to speak up.
Yeah. So one of the messages that I'm always adamant about getting out there is that ambition is not a bad word.
Yeah.
Be ambitious. Be ambitious for yourself. Be ambitious for your career. many times we're also told that, you're getting married, you have to adjust or move for your husband's career. And that happens for everyone. Yes, you must adjust because that's what a relationship, good, solid relationship is. But really, really, I think I would love to be in that place where ambition is not considered a dirty word.
Yeah.
It's a good word, aggressive, bossy pants, bitch. It's not, I don't know if you have to censor it out or not, but you can figure it out. But I really do think that those are very easy words that come to us. Aggressive women are always bitches, and aggressive men are the right leaders. So that's
a very wrong thought process. But since you worked in the US also, is that the culture there?
I don't think the culture is very different in most countries. I think it continues to be, there's a long way to go for a lot of us. I think maybe US is slightly better on understanding assertiveness, aggressiveness, and the role it has to play in being a good leader. But I don't know. I mean, I'm going to let my political thoughts out. But look at what happened to Hillary. It's just sad. Primarily because, you can't tolerate that kind of behavior in women. So but it's still a long, we still have to go a very long way.
Yeah, definitely is a long way. But you've also spoken openly about the fact that how you thought these biases would eliminate in the second phase of your journey now that you have proven your mettle, but you still get asked questions around your children if you would move out with them, or how would you manage your business being a single mother. So how do you tackle around with those things?
It's really, really sad. I really get asked the most ridiculous questions even today.
Yeah.
And I don't see any of my men colleagues being asked that question. None of them. And, questions around how will I manage my children? My children are old enough to manage themselves.
Yeah.
And they do a great job of that. Am I looking at retirement? Well, let's look at the age of most of the other entrepreneurs in India. They're doing just fine. Nobody's asked them that as yet. But how do I deal with it? I ignore it. I have a slightly different philosophy there. If life throws lemons at you, what do?
Lemonade.
No!
You throw them back?
No, you do nothing with them. You're making milkshake. You continue focusing on what you're doing. Just keep dodging the lemons. Just because somebody's thrown lemons at you, it's going to be, you need to uthake uska bhi banane lag jao. Mat banao, let it be. Keep focused, keep your head down on what you're doing. And I think that is it. That is my simple philosophy. If I'm in my kitchen and I'm chopping some fresh vegetables or fresh fruit to make soup or milkshake, and somebody comes and starts throwing lemons at me, I'll not figure out a way to start putting lemon in what I'm making. Ignore. Let it go.
But why don't you cross-question them that why are you even asking me this question?
I do, of course. When the question is thrown out at me, I do. I also try to understand what their concern is. And why they're asking me that question, and I try and address that. But Pippi,
starting to address it, even why is that question even coming?
What do you do? Yeah, there are times when there was a conversation that I had, I want to say 4 to 5 years ago, with one of my with an investor on a very similar topic. It was a gender-loaded question, as I call it. Not a sexist one, gender-loaded. So, gender-loaded question. And, I was surprised to hear the question and I hung up. The call ended. And then it kept gnawing on me.
What was the question?
The question was something around, your husband. I was going through a divorce at that time, and something about my marital status and how that would impact the company or something like that. And I remember then, 30 minutes later, I had to pick up the phone and call him back. And I had to ask him why he asked me that question and why I felt it was a wrong question to ask. And I realized that he did not understand the sensitivity of the question. For him, it was just a question. But half the time when you point out that there is a gender bias in the kind of questions that are being asked, people will fix it.
Yeah.
Because they're not inherently out there to like finger you, you know, they're there because they want to know what's going on and how that will get fixed.
Yeah.
So it did. So I had only two options. One was that I just kind of, you know, keep thinking about it, festering on it, and thinking, "Uste mujhe aisa kyun bola?" And second was just pick up the phone and ask, "Aisa kyun bola bhai?" And both of them are fine as well. You know, depends on my mood and my stage of life as well. So sometimes I don't really give an F about the lemon.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll be like, yeah, let's kick them on side and maybe we can play tennis with them or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, but doing something about it is very important, like you said. Otherwise, it remains what it remains in their head.
And I think, you know, you have to give people the benefit of doubt.
Yeah.
You have to tell them that it is, that you have to assume that they're coming from a space of ignorance and try and address it if you can.
Yeah.
You know, I love what Naya did when there were so many of these events that were happening that had manels, as we call them, right? Only men on the panels.
Yeah. Wow,
and they were like, but we can't. And whenever you pointed out, and we have a very, very strong women entrepreneur group. Whenever we pointed out, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, but tell us who to invite. We never find anyone." So Naya just picked up 100 women entrepreneurs and chapoed it and meant, right?
She's
like, now, so now you figure it out. Who do you want? What field do you want? And go find them. And it amazes me. I'm like, how do you not know us? You know, how do you not know us? What do we have to do for you to know us? So I think things are getting better for sure. Yeah,
I think media communication, of course, helps. And if people like us do it, our younger generation, whosoever comes next, it will be easier for them because they won't have to face the same set of questions.
Absolutely.
But having said that, you've seen best of both the worlds, many successes, a little bit of failures also in your life. How do you want to describe your journey if I were to ask you in one simple sentence so far?
It's a roller coaster ride. It goes up and it's exhilarating. It goes down and it's very, very scary. But it's fun overall.
Yeah.
You know, would I do it again? Yes, I'd do it again in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I think it gives so much purpose to life. I see my children because they're the, you know, your circle of influence is very large, right? When you're doing something like this. And then the people who are closest to you is your friends and family. For me, it's my boys. And I see the influence that I've had on their life. And I feel pretty proud of it.
Yeah.
You know, I feel checkbox. You know, they've turned out to be strong young men. And they've turned out to be strong young men who respect women and who understand the gender bias inherently exists and how equity can be built. And that is on the gender aspect, but I also know that they understand that taking risks is okay, failing is okay, because life will give you 100 chances. You just have to keep taking them. So I feel good about it.
Well, now that I ask you this question in 2023, I would want to take you back to 1990s when you just started your career, and you were born in an army family. What kind of learnings did you derive from there in your childhood? Tell us about that, how you grew up in different places in the country.
You know, I always say that my childhood was one of the best possible, right? Growing up in the army is super fun, super fascinating, because it is you have access to so many resources. You're on the move. You have friends all over the country. You know, whenever we'd move, my dad would drive us. So we've driven from Pune to Belgaum, Pune to Pathankot, Pathankot to Jodhpur. So lots of very exciting cross-country drives and all of that. So I'll tell you one thing that my father always taught me. He said that you can be anything. You can be anything you want to be. When I was in 10th, 11th, 12th, I didn't completely understand that. Because, and I don't think my father did either, right? Because he grew up in the services, then he joined the army. My nana was also in the army. So my mom had that upbringing, very similar upbringing to mine. So my thought process, and I think my parents as well, was that my life will be a lot like my mom's as well. Grow up, get married in the army, focus on your husband's career and grow, etc.
But your father was saying that you can be whatever you want.
He said you can be anything. But that was the definition of anything.
Okay.
Because that was my definition of anything too, right?
Right.
Then I went to the US, got my MBA. When I was there getting my MBA, I actually went a year before I went to business school, and I met my husband at that time, and his dean at business school, Washington University in St. Louis. And I told him that I'm going to apply next year. So he said, which schools are you applying to? So I gave him 2 or 3 schools, which were like tier 2 schools. And he said, why are you not looking at Kellogg, Harvard? I said, I can't even think about applying to them. And suddenly my definition of anything changed.
Okay.
I realized, I can do that. Then I went to WashU. And they gave me the best scholarship, so that was a slam dunk because I had no money. But so I went to did my MBA, and again conversations. Okay, where will I apply for a job? I had done a short stint in advertising before that, so I thought, I'll do marketing. You
had your own ad agency.
Ad agency, that's right.
But why did you shut it when you went?
I decided to go to the US. My husband went, and I said, "Chalo, hum bhi jayenge," kind of thing, and continued to do a few projects from there. But the thought process was go better life abroad, etc., etc. So during my MBA, what kind of a job would you apply for? And I remember thinking that I'll do marketing. I'll take up a marketing job because that's something I know. And again, a conversation with one of our professors who said, "But why would you not look at like McKinsey or a Goldman?" And I'm thinking, for me it was direct about outside the boundary. I'm like, why would I get into one of those? I have marketing experience, but how would I get in?
But a man with that same experience would say, I can try it. Let me do it.
I did too. And I got in. But my definition of anything changed.
Changes with exposure.
With exposure. So I think the best advice my dad did give me was that you can be anything. It's just as you grow older, as you read, as you meet more people, your definition of anything changes. And that has helped me through as well. Then when we started ShopClues, definitely wanted to start a big company. Didn't think it'll become a unicorn.
But how did you happen to start it? You were working in the US.
Working in the US. Moved from Goldman, moved to Nordstrom, multiple years at Nordstrom doing strategic planning, and then started a blog called Fashion Clues, which was a precursor to ShopClues. Started as a hobby. I'd talk about fashion all the time, and was working in a fashion company, and all these Bollywood pictures would come out. The pop culture was just coming out in India at that time, and we'd see all the actresses being splashed across through the paparazzi. And I knew what they were wearing because I was in the industry, right? So I would kind of started putting that up as a little thing for my friends, which turned into a blog. And then Viral Bhayani, who's one of the biggest paps now. So I worked with him in 2008, right? 2008, I reached out to him. I said, keep sending me the pictures and I'll turn this out. So both of us started working together. And
Viral and you worked.
And I, and then we realized that Malayalam Manorama reached out to us. That was the first publication. They wanted to syndicate our content. And I'm like, wow. Again, suddenly I realized that this is really strange that somebody wants to pay us for our content. And that was the evolution. Then I thought, maybe, I understand fashion. I understand retail very well. I understand fashion. And I understand the women aspect in India. Maybe I need to put all of this together and do something.
Yeah. Did you take somebody's help in doing this?
No, that was all me. That was a passion project that kind of just built out. I had a friend who would write for me occasionally, and she was super fun as well.
Yeah.
And then I'd say 2008, 2009, the first conversation that we landed up having was with one of the VCs who reached out to us, and I don't know what the VC world is, what needs to be done, none of it. And that was a learning experience as well. Now, I had to shut it down for a bit because I was pregnant with my second one. I had a very tough pregnancy with him. The markets also crashed. It was the crash of 2008. And then 2009, 2010 is when we started working on ShopClues. My then husband, I have to say, has been one of the largest I just think very inspirational. He was, my life has been a lot accidental. I always say that my anything kept growing. For him, his anything was very clear from day one. Like he would be one of those people who'd stand in front of the mirror and practice to be an entrepreneur. I don't know. He always wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I just watch him and learn. So that was the biggest difference between the two of us. And he came to India and he saw Make My Trip, and he said, there is stuff that we can do there. And let's do it. And I wasn't very sure about it. And but my retail background, we looked at what could be possible. So we thought we'd come back to India and leverage on what Fashion Clues had built out and build out something in fashion, a little bit like Guilt at that time, or get more brands from outside India, etc. And we said, okay, we're going to call it Deal Clues. And within like a month or two of brainstorming, and as we put the team together, we had Sanjay, who's also my co-founder. He joined us, and he came from eBay.
How did you meet Sanjay?
We're family friends from back there. And he joined us, Ronald joined us, he was our CTO, and brainstorming, and then Sanjay said that if we are going to move back to India, we should try and target a much larger world. So we said, kya kar sakte hain? So chalo, Walmart banate hain India. And that was really the genesis of it, and we moved back. We got a term sheet from one of the largest VCs. And everybody quit their jobs. Everybody was ready to come back. We pulled and we were not, I was, it's about 11 years, so 34, 35 and young kids, pull them out of school. And it's the same as in the US as it's here, right? To get into a private school is a bahut sara ghisna pitna padta hai. So now you pull kids out of the school, where are you going to put them, right? And then Amazon announced that Amazon's going to enter India, and our term sheet got withdrawn.
Oh my God.
So that was an adventure in itself, I have to say.
Did you question your decision at that time?
I think we questioned it for a few hours, and then a lot of ice cream and a few bottles of wine here. And then it worked. We said we're still going to do it, and we moved. We of course raised a lot of capital ultimately and built out something that I'm incredibly proud of. At scale, we had about 750,000 merchants on the platform. So that's the largest number of micro, small, medium enterprises, traders that anybody's been able to accumulate on any one platform. And super exciting journey. In 2019 is when we merged with Q10. So I was under contract for a couple of years. Early 2021 is when I moved out. And then the question was again, what do I want to do? Is it go the VC route, take a break, do something? I think that's where also the little bit of the type A personality comes in. I enjoyed being a builder so much. And I also realized that knowingly or unknowingly, that's who I've been all my life. It was different names given at all times, but it's truly just being a builder.
But what's the most important and fun part of building for you?
Making every day better than the previous day. I think that's it. I very, very simple philosophy where I look at that, is there a metric today that is better than it was yesterday? And And it can be anything,
Yeah.
right? And that is what it is.
Yeah.
Because when you see things build out, at ShopClues, we had approximately 30,000 people who were employed with the company over the last decade.
Okay.
And even today, I go out somewhere, at the airport, somebody will stop me. Oh, ma'am, I worked with you at ShopClues. I don't always recognize them, but I feel incredible pride.
Yeah.
Incredible pride that we've been able to carve out careers for so many people who've done phenomenally well in their lives beyond that. And then there are people who built out, the 750,000 merchants that I'm talking about, who built out complete careers, complete companies off the back of the company, right?
Yeah.
They've been able to, and some of them have built out very amazing D2C brands today. They were merchants on the platform earlier. And again, same, was in Goa. And somebody walked in and said that, Radhika, you gave me my first break and I've just closed $10 million with a large fund for my D2C brand. And it took me like a couple of minutes to really understand the impact. But I feel that's what gives me the kick.
Yeah.
It's really the impact.
But tell me, how many team members did you have when you just started ShopClues? Because now that you mentioned 30,000.
30,000 total who went through the company.
Yeah.
For the last decade.
Yeah.
At peak, we were, I want to say, about 2,500. And we started off with we were top heavy, just the founding team. That is it. It was Sandeep, Sanjay, me, Mrinal, and then Devesh was the first person we hired in India. So
how did you tell the merchants to list on your platform?
Went to the merchants, stood outside the store that would open at 11, told them that we'll take pictures for you, we'll list it. But then it was as hardcore
on ground work as it could get.
Jute ghisna as possible.
Yeah.
There's no English word that'll do justice to it. But that's what it was. Yeah.
My God. So till how many merchants did you do this until you thought that, okay, abhi khud se bhi aayenge log?
I think that's one part that we cracked very well. By going personally for the first, I would say, 300, 400 odd merchants, literally.
In what time frame?
We got them on board in 2 to 3 months. Of course, the team also grew along with that. But there was a lot of hand-holding that we did. And because of the hand-holding that we landed up doing, there was a lot of tools we could build out.
Yeah.
Because we actually understood, pulse of the merchant kya hai, right? What are the problem points? But otherwise, half the time you build out the tool from your own head, right?
Yeah.
You think that, अच्छा ये कॉफी बनने के लिए पानी गर्म करना पड़ेगा और इसमें कॉफी डालनी पड़ेगी. No, what about the beans? They have to be ground, and the machine that we are using doesn't use these kind of beans, so that kind of beans have to be done. So you have to build out a different kind of a machine. That filter is useless. You bought it thinking that that's what it comes in, but that doesn't work here. You need pods here. So you are able to figure out what the tool is going to be.
So what were the pain points for them at that point in time?
I think digitization, all the other ways you could list on any of the platforms at that time was through a laptop, desktop. But for most merchants, that's not how they were functioning. They just had a phone.
Okay.
So we were the first who built out a tool for them to be able to list their products on a phone.
Yeah, but how did you get them to adapt to it?
Simplify.
That's it.
That's it. Really. Make it easy for them. Take a picture, send it to us, and send us keywords, and we have a tool that will make a description out of it, right? So I think that was of course, it was incredibly, anything worth doing is not going to be easy. So you just do it. But
my God.
Yeah.
But do you think the companies that came after you launched, it was easier for them to get merchandise online?
I think definitely, because we were also building out for Bharat, right? Building out at scale for Bharat, getting the small mom and pop shops online, getting the strip mall shops online. So once that is carved out, and in today's day and era, we see Amazon, Flipkart, Snapdeal, ShopClues, all of them have been able to carve out a space for themselves.
Yeah.
And I think the revolution happened over time.
Correct.
It took 2 to 3 years for that revolution to happen. But it is incredible when you see the kind of pace of change that India has gone through over the last 10 years.
I know.
It's fun.
It is, but getting buyers on the platform was like half job done. How did you get customers to buy from that buyer?
Oh my God, yes, yes, yes. Getting the sellers on was a challenge in itself. Buyers was actually a lot of fun because when we started, we cracked a couple of channels from which we could get people. So we went to see where our customers were possibly sitting. They're sitting on certain forums discussing either college stuff or something else. So we'd start talking in those forums about our products, etc., etc. Then we realized that most people were just buying on cash on delivery, which was a real problem that was there, right? So we started this thing called jaw-dropping deal.
Okay.
So we tried to figure out a list of about 10 to 50 because our job at that time was to make a customer come in and try to buy from us, right? And so we started, the way it happened was really interesting because one of the merchants came back and said that he had about 10,000 of deodorants and he wanted to see if we could kind of sell those. So we said, okay, this is what we'll use for customer acquisition because just using Google at that time was turning out to be very expensive. We said we'll price it at 9 rupees, but it'll not be a COD deal. It'll be a prepaid deal. So people have to have confidence in the platform to be able to do that. We sold out in an hour.
In an hour?
In an hour.
How did that happen?
The site crashed 3 times in between, but we sold out in an hour. So basically, it just went viral. You know, people were talking about it everywhere. And I think then we realized that virality was really, really important. We also realized that on Sunday, we'd see traffic drop. So we used merchandising. And the way products are merchandised in the offline world, we used that very well to be able to build out build it out as a marketing tool. So on Sunday, we'd see traffic drop. So we built out what is called the Sunday flea market. And since then, every other platform has used that. But we built out Sunday flea market, which was a huge success for us. Now, it worked beautifully because my merchants had a lot of extra merchandise as well that they were willing to give out at a discounted rate. And customers, and when we were in the Bay Area, we would go to this flea market that would be there at all times, right? And it was phenomenal, right? Suddenly you would come in, or India mein bhi hota hai Shani Bazaar and Ravi Bazaar and Mangal Bazaar. So all of those bazaars were mixed into this Sunday flea market where you could come in and find a fancy beer mug for like 50 rupees, a fancy light up rose for like 10 rupees. So really well priced products which were more discovery oriented rather than need oriented.
Correct.
Again, a great way to acquire the customer. So it's been, I think the key to our success was a lot of innovative merchandising to be able to pull that off. The second one was really the tech tools that we built out, both for the customer and the merchant, of course. Because we also brought in the concept of marketplace in India. That didn't exist before that. When we pitched to VCs, they'd ask us, marketplace, like what does that mean, right? Because if you don't have control on the inventory, that means you don't have control on the experience. But building out a marketplace where you are able to create trust from both sides, right? From the seller's side and the buyer's side. There is trust that has to be built out, both in the platform, buyers, sellers, right? That was the key thing. So our goal was to give people the best value, to give them the largest selection, and give them anxiety-free shipping. And I believe we built that out well.
Right. But what kind of questions would you get asked by investors back in 2011, 2012?
I think marketplace kya hai? Why would people come? India is such an offline-oriented country. What would happen? I don't think anybody had, anybody has a looking glass, right? So you just don't know where it's going to be. I think for us as well, it was a conversation on how will this grow, what will happen in India. And we worked really, really hard through all of this. But for us as well, the inflection point actually came when Geo came about, when data became super cheap, right? Before that, and I don't think any of you remember that well, but people used to turn off data
Yeah.
data itna महंगा होता था.
Correct. Yeah, that's right.
So you won't like really use it.
Yeah.
So we realized that people would turn data on between 6 to 9 in the evening when they were going back home from work, and during the day it would be turned off. So then we ran a 6 to 9 sale.
Okay.
So 6 से 9 की sale, घर वापसी sale.
Okay. Nice.
So when you're on your way back home, you will turn on your phone because you're stuck in traffic.
Correct.
You're sitting in a mass commute.
Yeah.
You'll be able to see what's there.
Well, how did you convince the investors then if they thought
I think, and you have to credit the investors. They have a very strong vision of what will possibly happen, and numbers really are magic at the end of it. Because there is only one truth, and that is action. And
but speaking on these numbers, since these products are priced at very less prices, the gross merchandise value really has to be big enough for you to grow. How did you get that? I read it in the news only sometime back that in 2016 you had almost touched $1 billion.
Yes.
I mean, how did it happen?
And 80% of our orders came in from smaller towns and cities.
Okay.
So it was really, really phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think what we were able to build out was more of a want-based rather than a need-based consumer. And for the average Indian consumer, right, the middle-class Indian consumer, that consumer is value-oriented, completely value-oriented. They will buy want-based products only when they see an extremely good value in it.
Yeah.
And that's what we were able to carve out. Get them really good products at the right price points. So we always talk about the fact that at ShopClues, regardless of what others feel, we were not playing on price. We were playing on selection at a price point.
Yeah.
So we were not about getting you an iPhone cheaper than Amazon. We were about telling you that 900 रुपए में ये 10 phone है, ये सारे available है.
Right.
So it was a game of a selection at a price point.
So that was your differentiating
Absolutely.
factor. But then so many brands came in after you started.
Yeah.
So how did you see them grow, and why do you think customers, would want a variety of options to shop from and not just shop from one place, and that's how others also grew?
No, I think what happens is that the market grows, right? And the market grows, the number of customers who are coming in grow. Even today, less than 6-7% of our retail is online.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, whichever way number you want to slice and dice it. So
Yeah.
India is opportunity. So it's great when you see others doing it as well, because that just means that the opportunity is huge and you can continue to play on it.
Right. But if somebody would have to build an e-commerce business today, how would they start up? What kind of departments they should really have in the starting team?
So that's us again. Building out an e-commerce business again at Kindlife. And I think one of the key things that has to be very important is what is your differentiation, right? You have to know your customer well. We are building out Kindlife for, think of us as a better CPG product market, right? So that means that we are focused on well-being. We are focused on giving you products that you put in your body, on your body, around your body, but they are better for you. Better for you, better for the environment.
Yeah.
Now, we are also targeting a very different consumer set, right? So the first time in India when you can start looking at slicing and dicing the Indian consumer, not just based on their SEC, which is a socioeconomic classification, but also on their demographic classification in terms of age. We are targeting a younger consumer. We are targeting what we call the Gen Zillennial,
why
which is you, because that's the consumer base that's growing.
Okay.
Let me ask you a question. Do you know how many Gen Z consumers are there in India?
Must be more than 10 million? I don't know.
500 million.
Yeah.
500 million.
Okay.
India is a very young country, right? Very young country.
Yeah.
So, that's probably step one. What am I building?
Yeah.
And who am I building it for? At Kindlife, I truly, truly believe that over the next decade, our GDP, the GDP for country, is going to go from 1.7, 1.8 trillion in 2018-19 to 6 trillion by the end of 2030.
Yeah.
6, 6.5, 5.8, depending on what report you look at, but there's going to be a 3x growth in that. All of this is going to be driven by two key factors, right? One of them is that our consumers will want to buy better.
Yeah.
And the second one is going to be that they'll want to buy newer categories. And Kindlife sits on the cusp of that. So for anyone who's starting off a new business, identify what that business is going to be and who the customer is going to be.
Okay.
And is there a growth movement coming behind that?
And
That's
how
the most
to
important
know that?
Secondary research, anecdotes, primary research, talk to your friends.
Yeah.
I know that all my friends were looking for better products.
Yeah.
Awareness is very high. I don't want toxins in my house.
Yeah.
And we even use the word toxins wrong. Toxin hote hi nahi hai. Toxin is all natural stuff, right? Something thrown by an insect or a plant is a toxin. What I'm worried about is toxicant. The DDT of the old days, the microplastics that are there everywhere. And I want to be able to avoid that.
Yeah.
And the younger the consumer that I talk to, I feel that for them, self-care and planet care go hand in hand. When my older one was born, he's 19 now, we were in the US and he had severe allergies.
Okay.
And I remember going into a Target and looking for a washing detergent that was hypoallergen or allergen free. And there were two options, 2 SKUs in 4 aisles full of like 600 SKUs, 2 SKUs.
Okay.
When my younger one was born, this was 6 years later, there were again 6 aisles of options, out of which 2 aisles were better products.
Okay.
And today it's a 60% and 40% break.
Yeah.
Even the tides of the world have moved to making better products.
Yeah.
And we'll see that happen in India as well.
Yeah.
You will see a lot of the ITCs, and you're already seeing that, right? ITC acquiring
Yoga
brands,
bar.
Yoga Bar, HUL acquiring Oziva. So these are all new categories.
Right.
So buying new categories and buying better as well. And this will become mainstream.
Yeah.
And that's what we are betting on.
But other websites also sell better categories, right? But the consumer wants a very niche kind of a marketplace.
I won't say that the consumer wants a niche marketplace. I'll say the biggest difference is that everybody might be selling everything, but do you have trust in the platform?
Okay.
If you come on to Kindlife and you see a brand there that you've never heard of before, rest assured that we've done our work.
Yeah.
For us, the ingredient, we have a very ingredient first approach, not a product first approach.
Okay.
That means that we look at every ingredient in the product list. So the ingredient is the hero, right? So what you're buying from Kindlife has been vetted.
Yeah.
It's a very similar thought process to if in the US I go to a Whole Foods and I walk in and I see a brand that I've never heard of. I really don't care. It's at Whole Foods.
Yeah.
I know it's already better for me.
Correct.
So that's the thought process that we have.
But how did you get, again, the sellers and the new buyers on your new platform?
I think very, very similar approach, getting the brands convinced.
Did you talk to each one of them?
The first few brands, we talked to each one of them.
Okay.
And now we're at a stage where 80% of the brands is an organic income from organic incoming brands.
Yeah.
So they come in and they tell us that they want to list on the platform. We have a list of about 1,200 brands that are waiting to be uploaded on the platform.
Okay.
It's a throughput issue right now more than anything else. But when we started, it was the same thing. Every call had to be done. Yeah, we're doing this. Aajo. Nahi, mere paas bandwidth nahi hai. Abhi bhi there are brands that tell us that we don't have the bandwidth to manage new marketplaces or new platforms.
Okay.
And I understand that, but that also tells me that I need to make it easier for them, so they don't need a person to be able to manage that.
Right.
So it's a different problem identification from when we started ShopClues. And very similar to the customers as well, right? So for us, we're targeting a much younger consumer. And where is that consumer sitting? That consumer is sitting on Instagram, that consumer is sitting on social media. That consumer is more likely to look at me with a brand persona than the consumer of the previous decade, right? They want to be able to see a persona that they associate with. So when you look at our brand tonality, it's very young. The kind of output that we have on Instagram is a very young tonality. We just put up a playlist yesterday of songs that were put together by the team and feel good songs. And I was just looking at the engagement numbers today. So we had 300 likes on the song and take a wild guess how many saves?
More than 300.
700 saves. And I'm like, or playlist, literally list hai.
I did see that.
You saw that, yeah.
Even I thought of saving it.
Right? I saved it too, but okay. But I think so it is really about, again, now having the finger on the pulse of of your consumer. You know, what would Radhika Bajoria like?
Yeah.
You know, where is she getting her information from? Which are the influencers she's talking to?
Okay.
So that is the tonality that we need to get out. You know, if she believes in a certain, we've also realized that a lot of celebrities are, as consumers, we've become a little jaded. You know, we see the same celebrity talking about brand A today, then talk about brand B tomorrow, then brand C tomorrow. Well, you know that this guy is using Llama from US, you know, bullshit. So it is important for us to have authentic voices. I believe that that's something that we hold very close to the brand. Authenticity, you know, the authentic voices that we have. And the way we build out community, and that's been the biggest differentiator that we have. You know, we are building out a community. We currently have a community of about 200,000 people who want to live a better life. That community exists on our platform. It exists on social media. Conversations are happening around wellness. Conversations are happening around, you know, what is the best postpartum care? Conversations are happening around, is intermittent fasting truly the right thing to do? Conversations are happening around why, you know, the raw pressed oil is better than a processed oil. And trust me, I learn something new every day. So it's super interesting.
What does it take to build a community of more than 100,000?
बहुत सारी मेहनत, बहुत सारी.
Everybody knows it's a hard work, but
it is a lot of hard work. I think building a community is the hardest work that's out there. I wish I had a secret sauce to give you. I don't.
But you process?
The process as well changes with everything. It's a little bit like my definition of anything. It keeps changing. So what would work for you to get the first 10,000 people is completely different for you to go from 100,000 to 1 million people, right? I think it's a little bit like sowing the seeds. The first few have to be nurtured, and then for the next 100, you have to make sure that you have the tech right, so you're watering all of them, and instead of going and watering each one of them individually. So there's a lot of community management that has to be done in the right way, but I think AI tech has to be built out in a way where there's a personalized feel to it.
Right.
That's really where we are right
now. And what departments did you start with when you started Kindlife, and who did you start with?
You know, I have two amazing co-founders. They both started their career with me at ShopClues. So I've known them for about 10 odd years, Mansa and Vidit. And we started it was the three of us. We brainstormed. We said, we're a COVID baby, you know. So we started talking about it during COVID. So launch karte hain, fir kisi ko COVID ho gaya, fir 2 mahine ruk gaye, fir launch karte hain, fir kuch ho gaya. And
but how did the idea came about?
I think the idea was really a genesis of the life stage that all of us were in.
Okay.
For me, I was always looking for better ways to consume products and better lifestyle movement. You know, entrepreneurship comes with its set of challenges, and one of them being stress, which is always sitting on your head. So how do you deal with stress? You know, you make sure that you're leading a better life. You know, you're looking after yourself. Health is very important. And for me, as I realized that, I looked around, ki kahan pe I can get better information. I want to buy better products. I don't always have access to food hall around the corner. Where am I going to buy it? You know,
the spaces are too crowded.
Too crowded. You know, I don't want to use any product that has toxicant in it. I've seen both my children have their set of issues, etc., etc. And I wanted to be sure that I'm confident. I have confidence in the products that I'm buying. And I think that's really where the journey started. So the journey started much before Kindlife did. But Kindlife is definitely an outcome of that. Very similar for Mansa. She's got celiac, so she's gluten intolerant. So she was our go-to person for, you know, I had a friend visiting from the US, and she's like, "Oh, I can't have a drink because I don't know which alcohol has no gluten." Not really health related, but important to know, right? So a lot of conversations around that, and we said, "Okay, let's pull together a platform that makes it easy for people to discover better products, but also know that's the future."
Yeah, right.
Mainstream will become better. You know, we will drop toxicants around the way. We will be focused on consuming better products for our children, for ourselves, for our parents. So this is a cross-generation revolution that is happening. That will happen over the next year, next decade or so. And I think the most important thing in this is that our assumption is that if I'm buying better, it's going to be more expensive. But the Indian consumer is, especially the consumer that we are targeting, the Gen Zillennial consumer, is value and values oriented. You know, values oriented, they want to be sustainable, they want to be focused on being better, being kinder to themselves. But they're also value oriented. That means price point bhi sahi hona chahiye.
Correct.
And this is the first time in India where we have a wide selection, which is at the right price point for them as well.
How did you discover those products?
I think just brands, looking at a lot of D2C brands. So 2 channels for us. There are D2C brands, and then there are CPG companies making better products. And being able to target them and getting them all in.
But with the 3 people you had in the founding team, how did you divide work? I'm asking that because if somebody would want to create a marketplace today, they need to know that how do I build my team really, because that's the most challenging part.
I think building the team really starts from identifying what your challenges are going to be, right? Now, if you're starting a marketplace, you know that there's going to be supply issues, there's going to be demand issues, and there's going to be technology and product. Ye 3 key cheezein hain. So you divide that up into the responsibilities that you have. Now, supply is not as easy as just saying supply, right? Because supply involves bringing the brands or the sellers on the platform and then being able to manage all the post-ops as well, right? That means making sure that the product gets shipped out on time. There is digital ops, that means listing the products, customer support, all of that aspect is with supply, right? So supply is very large. Now let's come to demand. Same thing. Demand just doesn't mean pulling customers onto the platform. There's a whole funnel, right? There's top of the funnel. That means that where am I going to market? How am I going to build the brand? Am I going to do performance marketing? Am I going to work with alliances? Am I going to work with communities? Now, once you've been able to pull people on your platform, what is the visual merchandising going to look like? What is my key differentiator? Why will the consumer come in and convert into an order? So there is a whole process there. So demand gets wider as well, and you build that team out. Within that, you could have category management, you could have marketing, you could have branding. So there are multiple aspects to that. Then the third one is product and technology, right? What is my product going to look like, right? What your visualization of what is the customer experience going to be? What is the customer journey going to be? When the customer comes to us, what are they going to see the first time? And what is that going to look on the back end, right? Now you're building the customer journey from 2 angles. You're building it, again, go back to the demand and supply aspect. You're building it out from the customer angle and you're building it out from the supply angle as well. As a brand, if I come on board, I want to upload 10 products. What information does the brand need to give, and what is the information that the platform needs? So today, when you come on Kindlife, we've built out an amazing AI tool that looks at 80,000 ingredients to tell you what is the right skincare profile and what is the right skincare prescription for you, literally. And that is not an easy job because we have to go through each and every ingredient to be able to tell Radhika that this is the right prescription for you. That means that I need my brands to put in the right accurate data as well.
Correct.
So all of that has to be looked at product and technology. And then, of course, there's finance, there's HR. If you build out a company, we're about 60 odd people now. So there's HR that's involved, there's employee engagement that you need to build out, and multiple other angles, which many times we call them supporting roles, but I always say that they're like the crown because without them you can't work. Finance is important, HR is important, admin is important.
They're the roots.
They're the roots. They kind of keep everything together,
Yeah.
right? So that's really the simplest way to think about it, and not so simple as yet. So.
And how did you manage to raise funding from Kalari and other angel investors, most of which are women, I heard?
Yes.
So how did you convince them to put money into a marketplace like this?
So I think, so we're a platform,
Yeah.
and the first couple of rounds come on the person, they come on the team. So they have to believe that the team will be able to execute.
Yeah.
Because business also evolves as you build it out, right? A lot of times we feel that, exact vision hona chahiye, kya bana rahe ho, exact vision hona chahiye. Yes, exact vision hona chahiye. But also remember that a good business evolves along the way. And 99%, 100% of the investors know that.
Yeah.
So they're going to bet on, okay, she's done this before, she has the right team, she'll be able to do it.
Yeah.
Or, I really like Radhika Ghai's personality. I see her do things that are different for her age group, and I think she'll be able to do a phenomenal job. So yes, I'll invest in her.
Okay.
So that's the thought process that is. So I would say the first odd round is more on the team. And the idea. The second, third round, and I'm an angel investor, and that's exactly how I look at it. I come in very early, so for me, it's really just the team.
Yeah.
And after that, I know your business will evolve. You will end up doing something maybe different from what you're doing, but you'll do something like that. The second, third rounds are really where your KPIs kind of come in.
Okay. That's where you start getting tested.
Yes. Yes.
And when are you planning to go for the next funding round?
Always in the market to raise.
Yeah. Wow. And how did the name Kindlife come into existence? I'm sure if a man would be behind this business, the word kind wouldn't be in the picture.
I think it's such a beautiful name. I love it. And of course I'm biased. It's my baby. But we all have to, and I think COVID kind of threw it on our faces, right? Slow down, take a breather, lead a gentler life, and most importantly, just be kinder to yourself. I would be on this, and I feel I'm doing that today as well, but I'd be on this treadmill where I'd go in the morning, come to Bombay, do 2 meetings in Bombay, fly to Bangalore, do 3 meetings, take another next day night, fly back, get home at 3 in the morning, be in the office at 8 in the morning again. And I think that took a toll on a lot of us, right? And COVID kind of forced us to look at things from a very different angle. And I think kindness, kind living, gentleness, it all kind of made us think that it's possible. At least for me, that was a big revolution. And that's been the genesis of Kindlife. It is the kind of life that I want to live. And I'm hoping that's the inspiration that people will get by coming on Kindlife as well.
So kindness is all about being better versions of
Absolutely.
ourselves.
Better versions of ourselves. Kindness is, kindness is also a word I feel that a lot of people don't completely get. It's an action. It's not a state of being. It's an action. So a surgeon who's going to, let's say you have gangrene in your leg, and a surgeon who's going to come and chop off your leg is also being kind to you. But he's going to be kind to you with saw. But it's an action.
Correct.
So that's something that I keep telling my team as well, that being kind is not a state of being, that she's a kind person. It's not an adjective. It is being kind. It is an action. Be kind to people around you. Be kind to yourself. I think that's the most important.
Right. But as a leader, it's very, it's a responsibility to make your team members better at what they do and manage them. So how do you do that internally with your set of 60 team members?
For me, I look at leadership as a toolbox. Sometimes I have to pull out the mother card and be the mom. That means that tumne khana khaya and please go and fix your shit. Both of them together. Sometimes I have to be a coach, that you have to do better at this and this is how you'll do it. Sometimes I have to be the surgeon that I'm talking about. Just be clinical in my approach. So leadership ka koi bahut clear definition hai nahi. It is a toolbox where you pull out the right tool at the right time. And I think that works. But do all of that with a lot of empathy. Understand where the other person is coming from. I think throughout my career, and we talked a little bit about ambition, aggressiveness right in the beginning as well. I've always held true to empathy, and that's been a way of life for me.
Yeah.
And I've not always been very proud to put it out in the open.
Yeah.
And now I think I am.
Why wouldn't you
kindness,
proud?
because it's looked at as weakness,
Okay.
a lot of that as well, that, is she too soft, all of that. But I think you can be a kind leader.
Yeah.
And it is important to be a kind leader. There are times when you have to take stern actions, but they can be taken with kindness too.
How?
They can be.
Really?
Empathy, yeah. You
Yeah.
understand. You understand. Empathy is most important, right?
Yeah. That's how you manage tough situations at work.
Yes, absolutely.
Understood. Okay. But it gives me lots of food for thought,
I'm glad. I'm glad.
Because you say it with so much of positive sentiment that it really
No, it really is. It really is. It really is. I think kindness has to be a way of life.
Yeah, yeah. But we'll close it with the rapid fire round.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
So, like you mentioned, your life has been like a roller coaster ride. So, what were the most challenging times of your life, and how did you navigate through it? And that's where you are today, and still are leading a team.
Many challenges, on the personal front as well. I think my own relationship playing out in newspapers was very challenging. My divorce playing out in the newspapers, and just the family dynamics were extremely challenging. And I didn't hide. I was out there every day, and I'm incredibly proud of myself for that.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of kept me sane.
Yeah. How did you not pay attention to all those trolls that you were receiving and statements that you got?
I think it's impossible to completely ignore them.
Yeah.
I just don't read it. I just don't. I don't think that it's a little bit like, feeding your mind is a little bit like feeding your body. I'm not going to put a McDonald's burger in my body.
Yeah.
Similarly, I'm not going to put an ugly, nasty troll who is sitting behind a pseudonym. I'm not going to put his thoughts in my body either.
Right.
In my mind either. So very similar approach.
Yeah, needs a very strong mind.
No, I think it's just don't read it.
Strong action then.
There you go.
But there was a time in your life near around 2013 where your then husband was also charged for insider trading. So how did you manage that crisis at personal level and professional level in the team when the CEO was being changed? How did you, handle that panic situation?
Action is the only truth. You act on it every day. You work on handling, look at it like an airport, right? Let's look at the Bombay airport. There are always about 60 to 70 planes that are trying to land at the same time. Let's say your radio system goes haywire and everybody's on top of each other and you have to avoid accidents. How will you do it? You land one plane at a time, right? So one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Get this out of the way. Now get the second one down.
Yeah.
Now get the third one down. So a friend actually gave me this analogy and I hold true to it even today.
Yeah.
Because land one plane at a time. Sare planes to tum land nahi kar sakte ikkathe. Jagah utni hai. So land one plane at a time.
Yeah.
When things are in chaos and when your life is upside down, land one plane at a time.
Right. And which check of the investor got you into the unicorn club?
That was GIC. GIC, yes. GIC, Singapore.
That's a client here in the law.
Oh, is it? Yeah. Hi to the GIC folks. Yeah.
Okay.
GIC.
How much did they invest?
They had put in, I want to say about 60 million.
Okay. Yeah. And that got you valued from what to what?
We were valued at about 350 million previously.
Yeah.
We got a term sheet from them for $500,000 valuation.
Okay.
But that term sheet didn't go through for certain reasons. But the company grew so much that when they came back at $1 billion valuation.
Okay. What was your pre-money valuation at that point in time?
So for
before GIC
before GIC,
yeah.
So our pre-money we'd raised about 90 million at that time, so 240 to 350.
And from there it jumped to $1 billion?
Yes, because there was a term sheet in between that they didn't come in at, and then we went to $1 billion, yes.
Oh my God. How did this valuation game play out?
This was 15-16 when the company was doing phenomenally well. Also, the markets were at an all-time high, so that always helps as well.
And now that you're leading your second startup also, what's your, meaning of valuation? How do you define it?
So I don't think my meaning of valuation has ever changed. My goal has always been to create value.
Yeah.
I always think back and think that, even when we became a unicorn, we're one of the earliest unicorns.
Yeah.
Unicorn ka matlab kya hai? Really it is just a number in the air a little bit. And that holds true for me even today. What is a valuation doesn't matter. What matters is what is the value we are creating.
Yeah.
And the value that we are creating not just has to be financially, it has to be an impact all around as well.
Yeah. And you were India's first, of course, women co-founder to enter into that unicorn club. But how did you keep yourself grounded? Because it's very easy to get, on the top of the world. And
the world keeps you grounded, sweetheart. They'll make sure they'll throw trash at you. So everybody keeps you grounded.
Really? Is that what happened?
No. I don't think that was a problem statement ever. So we were good.
Yeah, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Lots of entrepreneurs should know this, that it's okay to be grounded and it's good to be grounded. But I just want to deep dive into this, that what really happened if y'all were at that level of unicorn? Why was ShopClues acquired only for about $70 million?
So that's not the right amount. That was put forward by some of the press.
Yeah.
The amount was actually much better than that. And,
it can't be disclosed.
No, it cannot be disclosed.
It's better, that's good.
Yes. It is better. It is significantly better. In fact, all our employees made money in all of this. And many things happened. I think too many for a conversation here. But I think the most important thing that we have to remember is that when we build a company, and the answer is actually very similar to when we became a unicorn, what was going on, right? The company was doing well and the markets were very good as well. The competitive landscape was different as well. Similarly, when we had our transaction, the competitive landscape changed. We had a couple of offers that kind of didn't materialize. There was a lot going on from the investors' end and from the competitive landscape end for us as well. We landed, I think that's where it comes back to landing the plane safely. We landed the plane safely. I'm extremely proud of that. And we are where we are.
So did you have many buyout offers and you chose one?
No, we had buyout offers previously.
Okay.
Which were not taken.
Okay. Got it. But what got you to the point that, okay, now it's the time to land your plane?
I think multiple things. I think we realized we had a good conversation with the person who was with Q10. It was there were synergies that were very, very obvious. And the funding scenario was changing. And it did change for multiple companies around at the same time. So multiple, no silver bullet, but multiple silver pellets, I would say.
Yeah, that's right. The last question around one incident that I heard, that when you just started ShopClues, you had received orders during Valentine's Day for flowers, but the merchant guy just didn't turn out. How did you manage that situation? Because that's some of the thing that many early stage startups encounter, that things might not go well as planned. How did you get it done?
Oh my goodness, that continues to be one of my favorite stories there. So this was the vendor didn't deliver the flowers because the flowers were being sold at a much higher premium in the offline market.
Okay.
And we actually landed up going and buying a ton of soft toys and shipping those out to all the customers with personal handwritten notes, because most of the people who were sending them as gifts had written notes for them, right?
Yeah.
So we hand wrote them, made them beautiful notes, sent them chocolates, sent them soft toys, and apologized along with it, and made sure we called each one of them. We also discovered along the way that one of our customers was sending out the same message and same bouquet of flowers to 10 different women. So we went ahead and did that too, but that was interesting to discover. So,
Okay. That's hilarious.
so we called each person with the same amount of conviction that, you know, you had a flower bouquet coming in from XYZ, but we're so sorry, you know, we couldn't deliver, so you'll get as a surprise in the mail tomorrow. And then we're like, okay, same guy, different girl, same guy, different girl, same guy, different girl. But
Oh God.
we did our job. Yes.
Quite a funny story. Just to close, this last advice that you would like to give to entrepreneurs, especially women.
Show up every day, take that risk, take that step, get out of the house and do it.
Great.
Very, very simple.
But you ended the conversation on a very light-footed and funny note. I love that. And thanks a lot for being with us on the show.
Absolutely. Thank
Very
you.
impactful conversation, I would say. Not every day do we get to hear stories and journeys like this. So thanks a lot again for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you. This was fun.